Welcome back. Back with another banger. It's the React Files. Hope you're having a good night. Let's get straight to it.
We continue here with the news tonight. There are fast-moving developments after the assassination attempt tonight. Remarkable new images here. The alleged gunman seen climbing to the roof just minutes before opening fire at that rally. You can actually hear people in the crowd yelling to an officer, pointing him out. And now we learn that law enforcement was actually using that building as a staging area, and how the gunman climbed onto the roof, the wall outside that building. And ABC's Pierre Thomas tonight with the exclusive interview with the head of the Secret Service and what she's saying now.
Stunning new video tonight showing the moment Donald Trump's would-be assassin climbed onto the roof of that building just 2 minutes before he opened fire.
Yeah, look, there he is.
You can hear bystanders desperately trying to alert police. Authorities now using that video as part of the investigation. And tonight, ABC News has learned that heavily armed local police were stationed inside that building and missed Thomas Crooks climbing up the outside of the building to the roof. The same building was being used as a staging area for local police, according to 2 law enforcement officials. And Butler Township officials are confirming ABC News' reporting that a local police officer climbed up the roof and confronted Brooks moments before the shooting.
The officer grabbed hold of the edge of the building, pulled himself up to be able to look, and according to what he's told me, shooter turned, rifle was pointed at the officer. The officer, defensive move, kind of ducked, fell, lost his grip on the building.
Investigators tonight trying to determine whether roof access had been properly locked down. The shooter climbing seemingly unimpeded, about 400 feet from the stage, with a direct line of sight on the former president.
Take a look at what happened.
In Washington, lawmakers demanding answers, calling on the Secret Service director to appear before Congress. We sat down with Director Kim Cheadle today for an exclusive interview.
What was your reaction when you saw the events unfold on Saturday?
Shock, and then concern, obviously, for the former president. This is an event that should have never happened.
Who is most responsible for this happening?
What I would say is that the Secret Service is responsible for the protection of the former president.
So the buck stops with you?
The buck stops with me. I am the director of the Secret Service. It was unacceptable, and it's something that shouldn't happen again.
The President and Homeland Security Secretary said today they had 100% confidence in you, but there are some members of Congress calling on you to resign.
I appreciate the Secretary's comments, and we're going to continue to be transparent and communicate with people.
You plan to stay on, absolutely.
I do plan to stay on.
Director Cheadle says she will not wait on an independent review of the security failure. She says she plans to make immediate changes. We learned today she's already expanded the tactical or SWAT support for former President Trump. David?
Pierre Thomas here in Milwaukee with us. Pierre, thank you.
Shout out to ABC News. They got to it quick. Now that's some information right there. And they got an interview. This rabbit hole right here has risen to the next level. We're on the next stage, folks.
Some of this stuff that happened at the Trump rally just isn't adding up, so let's go over everything that seems to be out of place. Who is this lady, and why was she being so weird the entire time before the firing? She was looking in that direction almost the entire rally. And as soon as the firing starts, she just whips out her phone and starts recording, instead of ducking like the rest of the crowd. And it almost looks like she's even smiling at one point. In the video, there's literally no one else acting the way that she is acting. And right here is Vincent Fusca. He can be found in the background of almost every single Trump rally. But the story with him goes a lot deeper. A lot of people believe that he is JFK Jr. Here's him recently at an RFK Jr. campaign. Here's what JFK Jr. said about Donald Trump in 1999. He was also another one who just didn't flinch in the crowd. Like I said, you can find the so-called JFK Jr. at almost every single Trump rally. And the real JFK Jr. and Trump were best friends. At every single presidential campaign, every building is locked down within 1,000 yards. Because if someone was really trained, that's about how far they can make a shot. Except this time, for some reason, when he's able to get within 150 yards of Trump. At the only building around with a perfect line of sight. Bystanders also said they watched the guy climb up on top of the building and get ready for almost 5 minutes, even alerting security and police officers of what he was doing. Even the Secret Service member said that he watched the guy for 3 minutes and was told to not engage, even after he confirmed that he had a GUN. And here's where things take an even weirder turn. Here's our guy in a commercial for BlackRock. And if you don't know what BlackRock is, they're basically the most powerful company in the entire world. They basically own everything. BlackRock has a hand in almost every single part of your life. And if you don't think they have massive control, then you are wrong. Because there's basically nothing more powerful than BlackRock. So is it just me, or did you notice that some of these things just aren't adding up?
I agree. Shout outs to Corey Adam. I did notice both those individuals he was talking about. This whole thing is really fishy.
I'm about to speed run the entire last year of investigations right now. So BlackRock controls everything, right? Wrong, but we'll start there. Because if you go to the grocery store and try to buy something like shampoo or deodorant or baby food, turns out that basically every option is owned by mega corporations that are all owned by the same people. Top shareholders of all of these corporations are Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street, the big three. Doesn't matter how many different companies you look at in all of the different parts of our lives, top shareholders of every single one of these little stock sheets is Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street. And sure, they're managing our money, like your retirement account, but what they're doing is they control the voting power on all those shares. I don't know if you can read this, but like index funds, mutual funds, exchange traded funds, all the things that Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street use to get your money in their pockets, which is still yours, clearly. They control the voting rights. And so what that means is when you look at the board of directors of all these different companies, of every company in the market, their boards of directors were selected by the same three biggest shareholders, Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street. That board of directors determines who runs the company, determines how the company operates, determines whether to put poison in the food or food in the food, determines whether to tell you that there's asbestos in the baby powder or to cover it up for 30 years. And so all the different mega corporations that make all the things we use in our daily lives are all owned by the same big three financial institutions, along with their buddies, the big banks. But then when you look at all the big banks and financial institutions, you know who owns them? Each other. They all own each other. And what that means is there is a ruling class of bankers, of old banking families, of big money that collectively owns the financial institution blob. And they're controlling all of the mega corporations through the boards of directors who select the CEOs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, down the line. And those bankers and corporations have developed some pretty wild tricks in order to shuffle their money around, exert this control, buy off the government. In case you hadn't realized yet, I'm in Idaho right now and I'm speed running a talk that I'm about to give tonight and tomorrow night at the Old State Saloon. We are about to break it all down for like 4 total hours plus some Q&A at the Old State Saloon in Eagle, Idaho. More on that at the end. So these bankers, these rich people, their families, a lot of that money is deeply tied into the black market systems of arms trades, drug trafficking, other kinds of trafficking. They launder all that money through things like art sales. The music industry is a big one that people don't talk about. Hollywood is full of money laundering because everybody needs a bank, including the criminal. So all that we're going to cover tonight in a 2-hour-long live talk. It's going to be streaming on the internet through Old State Saloon social media. That's essentially a speed run of my first 6 months of investigations into this whole thing. And we're going to go pretty deep. I am stoked. But tomorrow night, we're going to go deep on what the intelligence world is all about. What are spies really? See, they told you that these are spies, but actually these are more like what spies really look like. Because when you look at the history of who founded all this stuff, the kinds of people they were aligned with, the things they were doing, the types of backgrounds they had, the actions they took once they'd established these intelligence agencies, you realize that because the point of intelligence agencies is plausible deniability, most of the assets that intelligence agencies are working with are not actually card-carrying members of those intelligence agencies. And when you start to break down some known intelligence networks of the modern day, you start to realize just how powerful it is when you're leveraging outside assets like businessmen, like private citizens, private companies, because it hides what's really going on. See, we already had a military that was super strong. We didn't need a spy agency if all we wanted to do was exert force around the world. But when you want to do covert operations, secret programs that don't trace back to whichever government is behind them, you want private citizens that run their own businesses doing that work for you. You want people that can walk in the gray areas in various industries, people with a lot of power and money and influence, but who also can be controlled either through loyalty or through blackmail or through whatever. So yeah, you can see why I'm so hyped. We're going to break everything down. There will be no filter. We're not on YouTube. We're being hosted by the most based saloon you could possibly find. And we're going to do it all from an evidence-based, like intelligent, discerning point of view. Not just like wild conspiracy theories with nothing to back it up, but like complex thinking about like, what do we see happening in the world? What do we know about history? What does that imply about what's going on today? And what does that mean going forwards? Like, how do we fix this problem? If you're in the Boise, Idaho area, come hang out. We still got some tickets for tonight and for tomorrow night. It's going to be sweet. Would love to meet you all. And if you're not in the Boise, Idaho area, it's going to be live streaming on just about every platform through Old State Saloon's social medias. And if you're on TikTok, I think I'm going to try to stream it through my TikTok account somehow. Fingers crossed. But yeah, you heard Cat Williams. 2024 is the year that all lies will be exposed. So let's go.
Shout outs to Canceled His Clothing Company. Hope there was a good turnout. I know he was dropping gems as he usually do. Yeah, this is crazy. I guess this is what you call the illusion of choice.
Just said, take a look at what happened.
Get ready to see this. And afterwards, I'll show you again how it's a miracle. I told you guys 2 days ago, 1, I'm not political, 2, that the whole lie of it being staged was being perpetuated by puppets working for the DNC. I watched this firsthand as one of the biggest people paid by the DNC on TikTok was pushing this lie in a live stream. For those that don't know, staged would mean Trump is in on it, and he is a superhero movie star that can dodge bullets.
It's a false flag.
False flag.
Yeah, false flag.
Somebody died and 2 people injured. What do you think about that?
False flag.
False flag.
I thought it was magnificently staged. It was professionally done. It almost looked real.
Wait. Staged by who?
Oh, by Mr. Trump, of course.
I think this whole thing is staged.
You think it was staged?
Yeah.
It depends on everybody's view.
View of the assassination attempt? What do you think?
That's exactly what I was trying to tell you because I saw this. Right when it happened, the media was trying to downplay it and act like it did not happen. So people think they're woke and they're trying to be on like the thinker side, but they're actually tricked still. This right here is the magnitude of the miracle.
Take a look what happened.
And just today, the U.S. authorities found out that the Iranians had a plot to take out Trump. They said this and what happened in Pennsylvania is not related. All the free thinkers need to think of where their information is coming from.
What happened over the weekend of President Donald Trump is disgusting. And with President Joe Biden coming out yesterday and saying that he's urging the American people not to make assumptions or ask any questions and just let the FBI figure it out has made me even more skeptical. Here's some questions that I have about the whole incident that took place on Saturday. Where did this ladder come from, this industrial-sized ladder that is connecting the two roofs? Did the perp bring it in? And if so, did nobody see it? Or did the buildings accidentally leave it out? This ladder is very interesting, and I wonder why it is even there. Do we even believe in coincidences anymore? How was the perp in a BlackRock ad video, the same company that owns all of the liberal mainstream media that has been putting out anti-Trump rhetoric for the last 8 years? Coincidence? Allegedly, there's a Secret Service member named John Willis who said that he had the perp in his view for over 3 minutes, but was given orders not to do anything from the top. So, of course, that's all allegedly, but if that is true, why would that be? At the end of the day, the answers to these questions don't really matter because former President Donald Trump is alive and he thanks God for that. I am praying for him and his family and this country, and I hope that this incident brings all Americans together to unite. As always, let me know what you think about all of this down below.
Shout out to WFF News. You gotta wonder, that ladder, what was that doing there for real? That's the big question. And the fact for 3 minutes they were told to stand down. Sounds like they knew he was there.
Who is actually running the country anyway? It's obviously not Joe Biden. So who are they asking us to elect? Seriously, is it Jill? Is it Hunter? Barack Obama? Maybe it's the ghost of Corn Pop.
Good morning, Patriots. The preliminary investigation report on the attempted assassination of President Donald Trump is out, and it is more damning than I thought. I'm Adam Newbold. I'm a retired Navy SEAL and special advisor to the director of the CIA, and to Porter Goss and Albert Callan, who was actually a Navy SEAL. I spent some time over there, and I was also a sniper and a sniper instructor, as well as, many other things that SEALs do and folks in my profession do. But I've augmented the Secret Service on many occasions as a counter sniper operative and counter surveillance person, as well as doing some personal security details and military security details, protective details. So I've got some insight on this stuff. I've been putting out videos since this assassination attempt occurred, and they keep on getting deleted. So, it's tough to get information out, but I will continue to try. You need to know that this investigation, although I thought they would just try to explain it away and continue saying that this is a lone wolf, certainly that is what the media is trying to say, but the report shows that Secret Service agents were ordered to stay off of the water tower, which gives you a great vantage point from above. They were ordered to stay off of the roof that the shooter was on. They were ordered to stay off of that roof. They were ordered to stay off of glass. That is crazy. They were ordered to not be on their binoculars and not be on their scopes looking at rooftops. They were ordered to not be looking at rooftops. That is absolutely insane. There was local law enforcement that was there to support the Secret Service, and they were ordered to take a break. They were ordered to leave and take a break. Where were they? McDonald's. Now, whoever was handing out those orders is absolutely a traitor, and they were getting their orders from above. Make no mistake, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't understand what the deep state is, it does exist. And what it is the shadowy underbelly of our government. It is people who are embedded and work directly for, indirectly, but a straight line up to the families that run this world. And those are the Orsinis, Rockefellers, Rothschilds, and so on and so forth. It's not conspiracy theory. It's just a fact. So open your eyes and understand, because we have a country that provides us a Second Amendment, and we have a way to protect ourselves and stand up when necessary. Right now, we have to continue using our voice. But the problem that we face in the short term is this election is fast approaching, and they will do anything to keep Donald Trump out of office because he has exposed this. And yes, probably because of his ego, because he was not beholden to anyone, and he wouldn't step in line no matter what they offered him, told him, threatened him. He said no, and that is to our benefit because it has exposed this stuff. And yes, these are trying times and turbulent waters, but I would rather know the truth than live with blinders on, even though you might be fat, dumb, and happy. It is, for me at least, much better to know the truth of what's going on. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Once you know it, you can't unknow it. This is reminiscent of our President John F. Kennedy, who was also assassinated by our own government and elements within who were directed from the same manner. These are people that run the Federal Reserve, the World Economic Forum, and again, they just use us and countries, not just people, but countries as pawns. The world is their playground. They are above the law, and that's what we're dealing with, folks. And I do believe that there is a satanic aspect to this, whether they're just playing it or it's Satan. There is that aspect of this. So again, this is not conspiracy theory. Wake up if you haven't woken up. This certainly should do it. You should be able to wake up and say, wow, I cannot believe this is happening. Wow, this wasn't just some young kid that tried to kill President Trump. No matter how much you like or dislike him, that should be unsettling to you. And this was our own trying to take out the political opposition, and that is concerning. That is un-American. That is treasonous, and we need to stay strong and prepare for anything, because tough times are still yet to come.
Shout outs to Adam Newbold, ex-Navy SEAL, discussing a preliminary report. Part that's shocking the most to me out of all of this, so I just heard, is that they took a break and went to McDonald's.
There he is.
Oh, there he is. There he is. There he is.
There he is.
He's walking. He's walking. Currently at the hospital with Karen. President Trump was just shot supposedly in the head, and they just rushed him here. Okay, he's walking. He's walking. Thank you, Jesus. He's walking. He's walking.
This is suspicious. Why did people in the stock market bet against Donald Trump's Truth Social stock just days before the assassination attempt? As you can see here on this graph, shorts against the stock more than doubled between July 11th and July 12th, meaning that people or large organizations were predicting that by Monday the stock would plummet, which absolutely would have happened if Donald Trump was no longer around. This same thing happened right before 9/11, and Bloomberg did an article on this because the activity was very questionable. As you can see here, this is the article from September 17th, 2001, saying that trading skyrocketed in options that bet on a drop in United Airlines and American Airlines stock during the days right before 9/11. The trading experienced 12 to 25 times the usual volume in so-called put options that profit when stock prices fell. All of this to say, people were wondering if there was insider information. I wanted to make sure that Truth Social wasn't the only social media company having this type of activity. So I checked out Meta to see what was happening with their stock between July 1st and July 12th. And as you can see, it is quite the opposite from Truth Social. It is actually on the up. I think this data speaks for itself, and I don't really need to tell you what it is telling us. But as always, I want to hear what you think about all of this down below.
I too think that's very suspicious. They say men lie, women lie, numbers don't. And the last time something like this happened was 23 years ago. This rabbit hole has gotten deeper than I could have ever imagined.
So this just happened, guys. Donald Trump ducked at a rally. Shots appear to be fired at.
So this is probably the worst time to be a crazy guy that lives in a cabin in Pennsylvania and has a Donald Trump conspiracy wall. Also, it kind of puts a damper on the whole time travel thing, because if he was a time traveler, had a looking glass, he probably would have avoided that rally. Unless the shooter was a time traveling assassin, and the reason why he missed was because he was suffering from paradox psychosis and he was real itchy. And it didn't look like he got hit. It didn't look like Donald Trump got hit. It looked like maybe the bullet fragmented off of something, and then he grabbed it, he went like that, and then didn't look all that bad. Probably nothing. That wasn't me. I was at work all day. I have several people that can verify my whereabouts. Alibi. Wasn't me.
You know, I'm going to talk about it. The very unsuccessful attempt on President Donald Trump's life. Oh, but silly me, first things first, ticky-talk, this is purely for entertainment purposes only. All things stated here, well, just speculation. Talking about fictional books. Let's go. I was actually on vacation with my family when the attempted assassination of President Donald Trump occurred, but I'm home now and I'm going to speak on it. Y'all, less than, I don't know, maybe even a millimeter, a centimeter, had Donald Trump's head been turned a different direction, that would have ended differently. But literally just seconds before that pew-pew happened, the attempted assassination on President Donald Trump's life, President Trump miraculously turned his head just at the exact second. Had he not, that bullet wouldn't have missed. But he did. And nothing short of miraculously, it only pierced his ear. Some are saying it is divine intervention. He was protected by angels. Some are just saying it was luck. But there is something that is in the back of my mind I cannot stop thinking about, and you know me, I've got to share. What if it wasn't divine intervention? What if it wasn't just luck? What if it was something much bigger? Almost as if, I don't know, President Donald Trump had been there before, knew exactly when it would happen, and knew exactly how far and exactly when to turn his head. But Angie, how could he know how to do any of that? Well, I don't know. Let's talk. Recently, over the past few weeks, I have been extremely intrigued. I have been led to watch a few movies from the past, from the very distant past. Movies that I have already seen before. Poor Uncle Mike, I'm not even lying. He was so annoyed when I told him I really want to watch these movies. Because Uncle Mike himself had seen them before too, multiple times. But you know me, I am insistent, and so we did. What are those movies, Andy? Well, I'll tell you. Back to the Future. 1, 2, and 3. But what would those movies have anything to do with Donald Trump? All right, let's go. In Back to the Future, I believe it's 2, maybe 3. At this point, I don't know. Biff. Well, we all know Biff. He had noticed the DeLorean take off, and he got a hold of it, and he went back in time and changed things. Ultimately changing the entire world in 1985 into a horrible place. Well, that is for everyone other than Biff. He was stinking rich with a big casino, a big hotel. He was a bazillionaire. Much like in Hot Tub Time Machine, where Lou stayed back in the past, and as his buddies caught up to him in the, well, present, they discovered Google was no longer a thing, but Loogle was. As Lou had used his knowledge from the future, stayed back in the past, and created the very large search engine Google, but named it Loogle. And when they found their friend Lou, they discovered he was filthy rich himself. Something many people, I guess, if they had the opportunity to be able to go back in time and change something so that their future self could be, well, financially set. Not just financially set, but billionaires. Many people, I would imagine, would probably take that opportunity themselves. So here's my advice, y'all. Look at the rich folks. If time travel is possible, and trust me, it is. Perhaps many, if not maybe all of the billionaires these days may have had their hands on some sort of technology like Doc and Marty themselves. Now, if it was just looking at Trump being a billionaire, and yeah, that's speculation, and those are just movies. But there's just one other thing that is strange. One other thing that makes the idea of him possibly going back in time, not only making the decisions, the investments, etc., that he knew he'd need to make in order to become the man, the billionaire he is today, but also potentially going into the future to a certain time, a certain stage, a certain day where he would have lost his life to an assassination attempt, and going back in time to right now, knowing exactly how and when and where it would happen, after the exact words he spoke, taking that knowledge to that day and turning his head oh so slightly to avoid and miss the bullet. Well, now, I don't know about you, but going back in time to become a billionaire or going back in time to save your life, I think that's equally, if not a little bit unequally, just as important. But why would I think that Donald Trump, President Donald Trump, would have the ability to time travel? Well, perhaps a couple of books that were written long ago by a certain author, Ingersoll Lockwood, those 2 books just might give us the hints as to the potential truth that maybe, yes, President Donald Trump might be a time traveler himself. The Adventures of Baron Trump and The Last President, both children's books written long ago by Ingersoll Lockwood. Baron Trump, huh? Not a name you hear very often, but it is a storyline. Yeah, it's a storyline that gives you chills. The novels recount the adventures of the German boy Wilhelm Heinrich Sebastian von Trump, who goes by Baron Trump. As he discovers weird underground civilizations, offends the natives, flees from the entanglements of local women, and repeats his pattern until arriving back home at Castle Trump. Ingersoll Lockwood's 1888 publication Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey and 1896's The Last President. Lockwood's stories became a hot topic of conspiracy theorists, some of whom claim the Trump family has a time machine after the Republican entered the White House in 2016. In a new video post under the user Maddie I. Serence said, "I've thought about this every day for the past 2 years. In 1888, a man named Ingersoll Lockwood, wrote a book called Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey, where a 10-year-old boy named Baron Trump, who has a mentor named Don, who is a rich man who lives on 5th Avenue in New York City. Oh, okay. He and Dawn travel to Russia to find a portal to a magical underground world. This TikTok user pointed out that the book's author lived in New York City at the same time as, who? Scientist Nikola Tesla, who some conspiracy theorists often suggest was a time traveler himself. The name of the book's character Baron, which is short for the Germanic name Wilhelm Heinrich Sebastian von Trump, is further evidence of time travel, according to some. In real life, ex-President Donald Trump descends from German immigrants to the U.S. But it is the last book of the series that really adds fuel to the conspiracy fire. The Last President, also known as 1900. Amid the upheaval of the Trump presidency and post-presidency, some say this book was warning us all along. In the novel, the entire east side of New York City is in a state of uproar in November after the candidate is unexpectedly elected despite opposition to him. It is the tumultuous election of Brian, that sounds an awful lot like Biden, supported by mobs of vast size that are organizing under the lead of Antichrist and socialists, that sparks this. These groups threaten to plunder and despoil the houses of the rich who have wronged and oppressed them for so many years. The mob plans to march to a hotel on Fifth Avenue, the site of Trump Tower today. Oh my. The president in this book even appoints a man to his cabinet named Pence. Wow. Another striking coincidence given that Trump's vice president was Mike Pence. One TikTok comment read, "Too many coincidences is mathematically impossible." So with all of that being said, what a strange coincidence that in 1888, Ingersoll Lockwood would write a story about a family, a boy, Baron Trump, with a mentor who lived on Fifth Avenue who was extremely wealthy, named Don, and how through time travel and portals, these characters were able to travel to different places, times, civilizations. Does make one scratch their noggin thinking just how differently things could have been for President Donald Trump had he not made that very last minute quick move of his head. And how with that quick move of his head and his body, President Donald Trump quickly made what could have been a successful assassination attempt on his life, an unsuccessful attempt. Was it just luck? Potentially. Was it an angelic intervention, protection from the Almighty? Or, ladies and gentlemen, is Donald Trump, the former president of the United States, a time traveler? Someone who may have the ability, the science, and the capability of going back or even forth into time? And with that, did President Trump have the knowledge of what would happen on that stage that day and know exactly when and just how far he would need to turn his head and survive the assassination attempt on his life? I don't know. You tell me. One other incredible thing I do want to speak on. Normally, I do my own research and deep dives, but on this incident, I wasn't able to because I was on my boat and struggling with my neck. So I asked Uncle Mike to see what he could find. Moments after we had gotten the news, he told me they've got the shooter and his name is Jack Henrik. I made a video and I shared that information. Now, although spell check did not spell it the correct way that Mike showed me, and ultimately, I should be mad because Uncle Mike was wrong, I'm not mad. This was the Henrik that he found, because in this case it feels like confirmation. Wasn't the shooter, but actually a reporter. And her last name is spelled exactly like part of the name of Baron Trump in this book. I found this very interesting too. Flees from entanglements of local women. I think we can all see the large coincidence in that. And the absolute confirmation of Uncle Mike's slip in the name being the exact same name of Baron Trump in that book.
Shout out to Auntie Colette. The parallels and the coincidences from that book that was written in 1888 are major.
I was unaware that somebody had written an entire article about one of my videos until Auntie Colette, who's got 2.3 million followers, made a video reading the article about my video. Why didn't you just show the video? I wouldn't have been upset. I am kind of upset at... My name is Matty Ice Rants.
User Matty Ice Rants.
I'm just gonna go by Matty Ice Ernst now, instead of Matty Ice Rants. I had 13 accounts banned, and I was running out of names. I should have used some punctuation or an underscore, I guess. Of course, by now everybody knows about the Baron Trump novels that were written by Ingersoll Lockwood in the late 1800s that accurately describe the Trump presidency. And it's also probably just a coincidence that Ingersoll Lockwood lived in New York City at the same time as Nikola Tesla. And it's probably just a coincidence that when Nikola Tesla died in 1943, all of his unfinished research was given to Donald Trump's uncle, John Trump, who's the most tenured professor at MIT. It's also probably just a coincidence that after he gave the research back to the FBI, he changed his area of focus at MIT from nuclear physics to particle acceleration. Weird. And this is probably just a coincidence, right? Remember when that building fell down in Miami? I can only show the picture because apparently it goes against community guidelines. Just pointing out coincidences. And this is also a coincidence. And this is also a coincidence. And that's a coincidence. And that's a coincidence. And remember when the clock tower got struck by lightning in Back to the Future? And this is also probably just a coincidence, right? Oh, and here's a fun coincidence. Let's follow this string all the way up to... Oh, look at that! Have they identified a motive for what happened over this weekend at the Trump rally? But for funsies, go to IngersollLockwood.com. Ingersoll Lockwood, of course, was the author of the books. The website was originally owned by John McAfee, and it has hidden links to different government agencies' pages. And there's a little white rabbit at the bottom. You should probably click on that too. But it's still being updated, which is odd because Homeboy unalived himself in his own jail cell. And then that building fell down 12 hours later. It's weird. Should probably look into who owns that website now. And what they used to do. And who they're connected to. I don't want to say anything else. I'm not saying there's any top secret hidden information on that website. I'm saying that it'd be a good place to put it if there was. And I've said it before, but I'll say it again. A time machine like the DeLorean, if we're on a globe, would never work because you would leave your current space and time and end up in the same spot in a different space and time. So if the Earth is spinning, you just end up in the ethers of space, unless you use a spaceship like they do in the movie Captain Nova and the Atom Project. It's just interesting that in the Atom Project, Ryan Reynolds comes back from the future and visits his dad, who's a professor at a prestigious college, and is working on time travel with the government. And in the Atom Project, when they leave after meeting his dad, the address of the college is 2036, which is also a coincidence because that's the year that John Titor left from. John Titor, JT, DJT. I just like coincidences. I'm not saying anything's happening. I'm not saying anything's real. I'm not saying anything's not real. I'm just saying it's all coincidence. Coincidence wall!
Shout outs to Matty Ice Rants. I like the coincidence wall. Got a few movies up there that came to mind. Even I was thinking about those movies. Or some of them. It's very interesting, especially about his uncle in a time machine.
To me, he's just a normal grandpa. He gives us candy and soda when our parents aren't looking. On Saturday, I was shocked when I heard that he has been shot. And I just wanted to know if he was okay. It was heartbreaking that someone would do that to another person. A lot of people have put my grandpa through hell, and he's still standing. And he will fight every single day to make America great again. Thank you very much.
And that's a wrap. Hope you enjoyed tonight's rabbit hole. If you haven't already, please take a second
just to smash that like, subscribe, ring that notification bell,
just to make sure the algorithm knows what's up. So what we gonna do, y'all? That's right. Run these numbers up. Thanks again. Until next time.